Hey guys, welcome to another video. In this video, we'll be studying about manufacturing industries. Before we start this video, I would like to say that I will be covering these chapters in this video. Uh, agro-based industries, sugar and textile and cotton. And then in the next video, we'll be covering the mineral-based industries. Okay, so let's start. So first of all, what is manufacturing? It is a process of using the raw material. So this is point one. From from natural resources into a finished ready-to-use product is called manufacturing. So this is a definition that can be asked in exam. India is one of the most important industrialized countries in the world. It is in the top 10 most industrialized countries in the world. Importance of industries of India. Let's scroll on a bit. Industries are very important as it fulfills humans' needs. And probably the most important is provides employment to the people. So rapid industrialization has to strengthen our agricultural systems. These are point one, point two, and then point three. Industrialization is very important source to provide employment, so it is the same as point number one. The fourth point, industries have to produce goods and equipment to the defense of the country. These are some of the points that you can remember. Classification of industries based on a type of raw material, its size. So these are some factors. Raw material, size, location, type of product manufactured. Industries can be categorized into the following groups. So let's see which group it is categorized upon. Agro-based industries, the raw material is produced by agricultural sectors the chief determinant in this type of industries, examples sugar, jute, cotton, etc. And we have mineral industries. These industries use minerals or natural resources of the country or the region as their raw material. Example, iron and steel, aluminium, heavy engineering and machine tools, cement, fertilizers, etc. Then we have animal-based industries. These industries depend upon animals for their supply of raw material, as the name suggests. Example, mostly it's just dairy products and poultry. And then finally, we have forest-based industries. These industries receive their raw material from forests and forest products. Example, paper, cardboard, timber industry. Okay, so let's scroll down. On the basis of nature of products. So you have heavy industries and light industries. Heavy industries produce capital goods and consumer durables. Capital goods and consumer durables. These industries need huge capital, sophisticated machinery, skilled and unskilled labor, large quantity of raw material, and scientific knowledge. Examples are iron and steel industry, locomotives, and automobile industry. Okay, now moving on to light industries. These industries produce goods of light weight, like electronic goods, cycles, sewing machines, etc. They don't require huge capital. They don't require special emphasis on don't require huge capital like heavy industries and work with less number of workers. So examples are electronic goods, sewing machines, TV, fridge, fan, etc. So in the exam, they might ask you the difference between heavy industries and light industries. These are some of the points that you can list. On the basis of size and investment. Okay, so on the basis of size and investment, there are large scale industries. These industries need large amount of investment and large number of labor. This is point two. Investment is about 10 crores. They produce machinery and goods on large scale like iron and steel, shipbuilding, automobile, etc. Then we move on to micro industries and small industries. These industries are very small and require investment in plant and machinery up to 1 crore. The example is soap making. This is for micro industries. Then we move on to small industries. These industries are managed by private individuals. They do not require large capital and only employ a few workers. They use more labor instead of capital and also called labor intensive industries. The investment is less than 10 crores. So the examples are, so in this case, it is less than 10 crores and in micro industries, it is 1 crore. Then we have the investment is less than 10 crores. Example, weaving industry, silk industry, and turnover is within 50 crores. Then we have medium industries. These industries are neither very large nor very small. They require everything on a medium scale. The investment is up to 50 crores. Example, paper mills, radio, cycle manufacturing industry, and the turnover is 250 crores. Let's move on. On the basis of ownership and management. So we have public sector industries, private sector industries, joint sector industries, and finally cooperative sector industries. Now, what about public sector industries? They are owned and managed by either the central government or the state government. Private sector industries are owned or managed by an individual or some group of people. Now, the example is Reliance, Wipro, and Infosys. Then you have joint sector industries. They are owned, managed, and controlled jointly by the private individuals as well as the government. Example, Automobile Corporation of Goa and Tata Steel Limited have been established by Telco and Tiscorp Tata House as private groups respectively. And then finally, cooperative sector industries. These are owned and managed on a cooperative basis by those who are producers of the raw material required for the industry. Example, sugar mills, dairy industry, Amul, etc. Now let's move on to the basis of location and market. So you have rural industries. They get the basic requirements like raw materials, skilled labor, etc. from the rural area, as the name suggests, in which they are set up. Example is handloom, pottery making, food processing, pickles, khadi, etc. So these are rural industries. Now we move on to cottage industries. In these industries, the business activity is performed at home and hence they are known as household industries. Example, carpet weaving, handloom, handicraft industry, etc. So remembering these examples of various types of industries is also very important. And then finally, on the basis of the finished product or functions. So we have basic industries. These are the group of core industries on which other industries are dependent upon for their manufacturing. So you have iron and steel industry and petroleum industry. And then we move on to secondary or consumer industry. These industries process the basic raw materials and convert them into primary goods for direct utilization by the consumers. Example, basically bakeries, textiles, paper, sugar, etc. So these are consumer durables. Then we have tertiary industries. These comprise of public utility-based services like railways, roads, banking, post and telegraph, etc. Then we have ancillary industries. These industries prepare spare parts and components. Spare parts and components for big industries engaged in manufacturing of buses, aircraft, heavy electrical industry, engines, and locomotives. So there are industries which manufacture the whole component, and then there are industries which only manufacture a small portion of this component. So these are ancillary industries. Hey guys, welcome to another video. In this video, we'll be covering the Agrobase industry chapter. So let's start. The industries which what are Agrobase industries? These are the industries which use agricultural products as raw material and are known as Agrobase industries. So this is a basic definition of Agrobase industries. Some Agrobase industries are sugar industry. India is known for producing sugar since decades. It is the second largest organized industry in India after cotton textile. India is the second largest producer of sugarcane in the world after Brazil. It contributes around 8% of the total sugar production of the world. The industry relies heavily on the supply of fresh sugarcane, hence most of the industries are located in the vicinity of sugarcane producing fields, generally in a radius of around 25 kilometers. Okay, distribution of sugar industry in India. So Maharashtra, it has the ideal conditions for cultivation of sugarcane. Manmad in the north to Kolhapur in the south is a narrow belt which is famous for sugar production. Then you have North India. Uttar Pradesh is the largest producer of sugarcane in India. Sugar factories are located in the Ganga Yamuna Doab. So there is Ganga Yamuna Doab and Terai belt. You have Meerut, you have Muzaffarnagar, you have Bulandshahr and Ghaziabad, which are the main sugar producing centers in the Ganga Yamuna Doab, while Basti, Gonda, Gorakhpur and Lakhimpur Kheri are the main centers in the Terai area. The other sugar producing states in North India are Bihar, Punjab, Haryana. You only need to remember the first two states, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. Then you have Peninsular India. It emerged as a leading producer of sugar in the country. Major sugar factories are in Tamil Nadu and they are located in Coimbatore, Vellore and Tiruchirappalli. In Andhra Pradesh, it is located in Vijayawada, West and East Godavari, Chittor and Srikakulam. These are some of the locations you may remember. Problems of the sugar industry in India. The quality of sugarcane produced in India is very poor, having low yield and sucrose content is also very low. So this is point number one. Due to inefficient nature of production, the cost of production is high. Crushing season is short and the location of sugarcane cultivating fields are farther from the mills. Okay, let's move on. The sugar mills do not run throughout the year, thus creating problem of regular income for the workers. The byproducts produced by the sugar industry, such as molasses and bagasse, are not utilized properly, hence they cannot be converted into different useful products to further reduce the cost of production. The machines in the factory, especially in northern India, are old and obsolete. Old and obsolete, this hampers the production of sugar. So these are some of the problems of sugar industry. Okay, let's move on to textile industry. In India, textile industry is the first manufacturing industry which occupies very important place in India as it generates huge employment. Largest textile industry in India is cotton textile industry. Okay, now cotton textile industry. India is the third largest cotton textile manufacturing country in the world after the US and UK, and also the third largest exporter of cotton textiles after Japan and USA. Maximum number of cotton mills are located in Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Tamil Nadu. So these are the three states. The other centers are West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, and Karnataka. So it is not important to learn this latter. You only need to remember Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Tamil Nadu because we have Mumbai and Ahmedabad, two major uh, cotton textile industry hubs in Maharashtra and Gujarat, respectively. Then we have distribution of cotton textile industry in India. The state has the largest cotton textile mills in the country. Mumbai is an important center of cotton textiles and is often called the Cottonopolis of India. This is an important term that they may ask you in the exam, which city is known as the Cottonopolis of India. It produces about 40% of the milk cloth in India. It is also known as Lancashire, England country of India. Okay, then let's move on to the next state, Gujarat. It is renowned as the second largest producer of cotton textile in India. It contributes to about 23% of the total milk cloth production in India. The most important city is Ahmedabad. It is the second largest. It is the second largest cotton manufacturing city of India and is properly known as Manchester of India. So they may ask you this important definition term that which city is known as Manchester of India. Then we have Tamil Nadu produces about Then we have Tamil Nadu, it produces about 6% of the total milk cloth of India and it leads in yarn production. It is an important cotton textile producer, which is also called the Manchester of South India. And we have further states as listed in the PDF given. Let's move on to Uttar Pradesh. In Uttar Pradesh, majority of cotton textile industry has emerged along with its western part. The largest center in Uttar Pradesh is Kanpur, Lucknow, Moradabad, Modinagar, Etwa, Agra, and Saharanpur are other important centers. Now let's move on to the problems of cotton textile industry in India. Shortage of raw material. After the partition, India has to bear a huge loss of long staple cotton as most of the centers went to Pakistan. India, in order to fulfill its requirement, imports cotton from Pakistan, Kenya, Uganda, Sudan, Egypt, USA, and Peru. Then the second point is old and obsolete machinery. Many mills in India are very old and very inefficient. So these are 2 points two keywords to remember. They have obsolete machineries as compared to some of the other developed countries. And we have shortage of power supply. There's a serious problem of power shortage for cotton textile mills. There's not a steady supply of electricity in cotton textile mills. The industry suffer a lot due to load shedding and frequent power cuts. This causes the loss in production to huge extent. And finally, we have the fourth point, low labor productivity. As compared to other developed countries, the labor productivity of India is low, and it is a drawback for the cotton industry. Industries that require minerals as their raw material are called mineral-based industries. So this is the basic definition of mineral-based industries. For example, iron and steel industry is a mineral-based industry as it is based on iron ore and other minerals. Iron and steel industry. Iron and steel is a central element in the heavy industrial structure and forms the backbone of industrial development. This industry converts iron ore to iron and then to steel, which becomes the major output for industries like automobile, locomotives, railways, shipbuilding, machine, tools, dams, etc. The production and consumption of iron and steel reflects the level and reach of industrialization and development of a country. The history of making steel in India dates back to AD 350, which is evident from the iron pillar in Delhi. The first unit to produce pig iron was started in 1874 at Kulti, which was later named as Bengal Iron Work Company. Bengal Iron Work Company. Later, the setting up of Tata Iron and Steel Company at Jamshedpur by Jamshedji Tata in 1907. Remember the dates, the name, and as well as the factory name. Was a turning point in the development of iron and steel production in India. India became the fifth largest crude steel producing country in the world and 10th largest in steel production. Okay, this shows the amount of industrialization in the Indian country. Large integrated iron and steel plants of India. Integrated steel plants are very large plants which are all the processes are carried out one place from making of steel to its rolling, shaping, and drawing it into sheets. Okay, let me zoom in a bit. Tata Iron and Steel Company, it is also known as TISCO, a short abbreviation of this factory. It is one of the oldest manufacturing plant in India. It is a private sector iron and steel plant established in 1907 by Jamshedji Tata at Sakchi in Jamshedpur in Jharkhand. Remember the state as well as the district. The place is named after the founder of the iron and steel company, that is Jamshedpur Tata Nagar Steel City. The production started in 1911. This plant is responsible for producing iron sheets, rails, sleepers, for railway wheels, carbon steel for structural fittings, special alloy steel for bulletproof armor plates, etc. The essential supplies of raw materials are obtained from within 175 kilometers of range. Now, the following locations are very important to memorize. High quality of iron ore available from Noamundi of Singhbun region, Jharkhand, and Mayurbhanj, Odisha. So these are districts of their respective states. You have Singhbum region from Jharkhand and Mayurbhanj from Odisha. Availability of coal from Jharia coal mines of Jharkhand. Remember the states, districts as well as their respective factories. Availability of manganese from Joda and Keonjhar districts of Odisha. Dolomite, limestone and pike clay are available from Sundargarh district of Odisha. Water for cooling purposes is provided from the river Subarnarekha and also from the Kharkai Dam. Now let's scroll down a bit. Raw materials as well as finished goods can be transported from Jamshedpur to Kolkata, Mumbai and Chennai, as it is well connected by roads and railways. Availability of cheap labor from Jharkhand and nearby Odisha region. So the main states that are concerned with TISCO are Jharkhand and Odisha. You have to remember the districts as well as the rivers concerned and the factories also. Okay. Rourkela Steel Plant is a plant in the public sector. This plant was set up in the Sundargarh district of Odisha with the technical help of German firm Krups and Demag in 1959 during the second five-year plan. Okay. This plant is located at the confluence of the Sankha and Koel rivers. Remember the names of the rivers in the Sundargarh district of Odisha. It gets its essential supply of raw materials from the nearby areas. This plant has produced specialized steel for the vehicles related to Indian Space Satellite Program. It also supports various fertilizer plants which utilize the byproducts released by it. The steel plant produces hot and cold iron rolled iron sheets, galvanized sheets, and electrical steel plates. Okay, let's scroll up a bit. Some of the favorable factors for this plant are availability of iron ore from Sundargarh and Keonjhar district, which is very close to its location. Coal is available from Jharia, Talcher, and Korba coal fields. Power is supplied from Hirakud Dam. Manganese is obtained from Barjamda. Dolomite is obtained from Baradwar and Hedni mines of Madhya Pradesh, while limestone is from Veermatrapur. Water supply is available from Sankha and Mahanadi rivers. Remember the two rivers. Abundance of cheap labor from nearby areas. There is good connectivity from the plant to Kolkata because Kolkata is the closest commercial and financial and capital hub nearest to these plants, such as TISCO and Rourkela Steel Plant. Kolkata provides good port facilities for both raw materials as well as finished goods. Okay. Problems of iron and steel industry. Huge investment. This is a large-scale industry that requires huge capital for its setup. It is difficult for a developing country like India to invest huge capital required in this type of industry. Okay, this is point number one. Let's move on to point number two. Outdated and low technical development. Outdated machinery has increased the cost of production of iron and steel. This has also reduced the profit margin of the iron and steel plants. So outdated machinery is the main keyword over here. Let's move on to the third point. Limited availability of coal, it is a major factor for low production in steel plants. As India has limited high-grade cooking coal reserves, it has to import it from other countries. This raises the cost of production. Inefficiency in production. The production units do not utilize the full potential of employees. Do not utilize the full potential of employees. Labor productivity is low as compared to other countries, which increases the rise cost of production. So everywhere you can see the cost of production rises due to these disadvantages. Rise in import. India has to import iron and steel from foreign countries as it is not able to fulfill its demand for steel. This rise in import leads to greater spending on foreign exchange. Proper availability of resources. There should be a proper availability of all the natural resources at one place, such as iron ore mines, energy sources, and water resources. Even if one of the natural resources is not available, then the development of the industry becomes very difficult. Okay, let's move on to other industries. Electronics sector in India covers a wide range of products, which include television, transistors, telephone exchange, cellular telecom, pagers, computers, and various equipments for post and telegraph, defense, railway, and meteorological phenomena. Okay. Electronic good industry, there is the Indian Telephone Industries (ITI). It was the first public sector undertaking to be set up after independence near Bengaluru in 1950. Bengaluru is also known as the electronic city or the electronic capital of India, as it is the largest center of electronic goods production. Then you have the Bharat Electronics Limited, BEL. It was set up in 1956 in Bangalore. I'm going to refer it as Bangalore as a public sector undertaking so as to fulfill the requirements of defense services, All India Radio and Meteorological Department. It produces products to be used in the field of telecommunications, radar, fire control system, tanks, and optical systems. Now let's move on to the next industry. Electronics Corporation of India Limited, ECIL. It was set up in 1970 in Hyderabad. It is an indigenous unit which manufactures modular systems for nuclear application and for the use in medical, agricultural, and industrial fields. Various other products like metallic oxide resistors, analog computers, and online digital process control computers are also manufactured. Basically, the main themes to remember from this industry is it is manufactures modular systems for nuclear application, medical, agricultural, and industrial applications or fields. Okay, this was the electronics industry. Now let's move on to the petrochemical industry. It is an important organic chemical industry which derives its chemicals from petroleum resources and products like LPG and coal. LPG full form is liquefied petroleum gas. Petrochemicals are used for manufacturing various goods like synthetic rubber, synthetic fiber, ferrous, non-ferrous metals, plastics, dyestuffs, drugs, etc. This industry also produces resins, adhesives, plastic sheets, etc. Okay. Raw materials for this industry include petroleum, LPG, coal, etc. This industry is situated near oil refineries to obtain the raw materials ethylene and benzene. Various petrochemical products are synthetic fiber, polythene, vinyl, PVC, etc. Many copper and steel utensils are being replaced by plastic containers. Some petrochemical industries are the Union Carbide India Limited, the first petrochemical complex to be set up in 1966 at Bombay. It produces polypropylene, ethyl acetate, butyl spirit, etc. and is controlled and managed by multinational brand Union Carbide. Let's scroll up a bit. The UDEX plant. This plant was set up in 1969. It is located in Gujarat near Koyali refinery to produce benzene and toluene. Indian Petrochemical Corporation Limited. It is located at Jawaharnagar near Vadodara. It was set up in 1969 and manufactures and distributes various petrochemicals like polymers, synthetic organic chemicals, and fibers. Petrophils Corporation Limited (PCL). It was set up as a joint venture of the Government of India and Weavers Cooperative Society. It was set up at Vadodara and Nalderi in Gujarat. It produces yarn which is used for making swimsuits, undergarments, polyester filament yarn, and nylon chips. This industry, the Bongaigaon Petrochemicals Limited, is located at Bongaigaon in the state of Assam, and it gets the raw material from the Bongaigaon and Noonmati refineries and produces polyester fiber and authorized lean. National Organic Chemical Industries Limited, it is the biggest unit in India. It is the biggest unit in India, which is managed by Mafatlals at Thane near Bombay. It is based on the latest technology and enjoys the title of being the first integrated plant in India. It produces ethylene, benzene, PVC, etc. Then we have the Haldia Petrochemicals Limited. It is located at Haldia in West Bengal, which is based on naphtha. It produces polyphenes and chemicals like benzene, butadiene, cyclopentane, etc. Okay. Then Reliance Petrochemicals. It is the largest producer of petrochemicals and private sector in India and the 10th largest in the world. It has oil and gas refinery at Jamnagar, Gujarat. The company produces polyester fiber and yarns, paraxylene, monoethylene, glycol, etc. Advantages of petrochemical products: they are cheaper as compared to other products. They are generally manufactured on a large scale. So basically, they are cheaper as compared to other products. They are cost effective and economically stable. The raw material is easily available and they do not depend on agricultural raw materials such as jute, cotton, etc. Okay, now we will be doing some questions regarding mineral-based industries. Okay, so let's start. Answer the following questions. Mention two reasons for the importance of the electronic industry in India's development. Electronic industry is important for India's development in the following ways. Electronic industry is a fast-growing industry. It started with radio manufacturing. And it has now entered in almost all the fields such as space, exploration, defense equipment, medical diagnosis, communication, information technology, computer systems. India is growing faster and competing with the world because of the development of electronic industry in various fields. Indian hardware and software is in great demand throughout the world. Okay, now let's scroll down a bit. Now, with reference to the iron and steel industry in India, give logical explanations for the following. The location of this industry is governed by its close proximity to raw material. So the answer is the location of this industry is governed by its close proximity to raw material because due to the bulky nature of the raw material and the large quantities in which they are needed, a high cost of transportation is involved. Therefore, it is preferable to for the location of the industry to be as close to the raw material source as possible to reduce the cost of transportation. Then the second question, this industry is not found in Western India. This industry is not found in Western India because of unavailability of raw material. Then we have the third question. Most of the iron and steel plants are public sector undertaking because it requires large capital investment, machinery, and needs research facilities that only the government can provide. So the fourth question isn't provided, so let's read what it has to say. Since many plants are smaller in size, they can be conveniently located in industrial towns to meet the special steel requirements. This reduces transport costs. This is a very good factor. It utilizes scrap iron from big steel plants as raw material and thus helps in recycling and does not need huge capital investment. This is regards to many steel plants. Okay, so let's scroll down a bit. What do you mean by the term industry? So any economic activity concerned with the production of goods, extraction of minerals, or tire provision of services is called industry. Then moving on to the second question, with the help of an example, explain how agro-based industries are different from mineral-based industries. So agro-based industries utilize agricultural products as raw materials such as sugar industry, jute industry, etc. Then you have mineral-based industry which obtain the raw materials from mines and quarries like coals, iron ore, bauxite, etc. What are the advantages of petrochemical products? So let's clear this drawing and scroll down a bit. So the answer for this question is that petrochemicals are cost-effective, economically stable, and cheaper. So what are the keywords? Cost-effective, economically stable, and cheaper, as it is produced in large scale. Its raw material is easily available. It is not dependent on agricultural raw material, petrochemical products can, there's a full stop over here. Petrochemical products can easily replace natural and traditional raw materials like wood, glass, metals. So these are some natural materials and these are their petrochemical products. Let's clear the drawings and scroll down a bit. I'll give reasons for the following. The electronic industry has made an impact on both entertainment and education. Electronic industry with mass-scale integration processes produce computers, servers, displays, TVs, and cameras, etc. to enable capture of broadcast news, advertisements, cinema, educational program, etc. to large section of the population over the country and overseas, thus revolutionizing the lifestyle of the Indian masses. Give two geographical reasons for the growth of IT industries in Bangalore. The growth of IT industries in Bangalore is due to readily available world-class IT infrastructure, high concentration of IT companies and quality research and development institutions, and it has an international airport, hence it facilitates the easy access by the world-class industries. So these are some points to remember. Let's move on to the next question. Okay. Tree plantation is essential in and around heavy industrial areas. Tree plantation is essential because these are the major air polluted and noise polluted areas, and tree reduces the level of pollution and keeps the balance of environment. This is a very important question. Do remember the answer. They might ask you in the exam. Petrochemical products are replacing traditional raw materials because they are quite cheap, economically stable, and not dependent on agricultural raw materials. Therefore, traditional raw material are being replaced by petrochemical products. As leather footwear natural material can be replaced by plastic supples, cloth and jute bags can be replaced by polythene bags. On the fifth question, there is a large concentration of iron and steel plants in the Chota Nagpur region. Now, what is the reason? Three reasons for large concentration of iron and steel plants in Chota Nagpur region are: one, availability of raw iron ore, availability of coal for power, availability of cheap labor. So that brings us to this end of this video. I hope you learned and enjoyed this video. This video will be uploaded on IsEqualTo classes. Shivang, be sure to check this video out, as well as other videos covering various subjects such as geography, maths, history, etc. Stay home, stay safe, take care. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.